They say I wouldn't do it like I won't. They say I couldn't do it and they feel. They say I wouldn't do it and I fold. They say I couldn't do it and I did. I'm a champion. I'm a champion.
Listen, hey, Encourage Nation, welcome to Season 3. I want to tell you right now, you know who I am. I am that one. Who is that? I am the counselor. I'm the doctor. I am your friend. I am the unk. I'm the OG. I am that one that you know we call the what? The confidant. If you got something to talk about, let's do it. Listen, honesty is our platform, but Joshua 1:9, where we say be strong and courageous. I just come to tell you again, you got to make sure that you are going to the Word of God. That's what we're doing in this new season. We're stepping into greater things. And so I thank you for rocking with me in Season 1 and Season 2. But right now, we're going into Season 3, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And listen, I am so excited about what God is going to be doing in this new season. We got a new format. We got new guests. We got new things that are happening. It is hot and ready right now. It is our time to rock together. It's our time to grow together. It's our time to ascend to another level. I'm coming to tell you, ascend, huh? That's why I'm saying it. We getting ready to go to greater things because of what we're getting ready to do right now and who we're getting ready to bring to the platform and the great things that we're getting ready to share with you, that we've got entrepreneurs on this season that are doing great things. I'm trying to tell you, men of God, we're talking about men who are doing great things. Encouragement. We're talking more about mentorship. We're talking about supporting one another and community. How can we help each other? God is going to be the center, and it is the center of everything that we do. But when we do that, we want to make sure that what are we going to do once we ground ourselves? How are you going to take things to another level? God never meant for us to keep it all to ourselves. Christ died for us, right? So that we can go and what? Make disciples. Again, the Holy Spirit descended down because of what? That He died for us, for our sins. He died for all the things we're going through. He died for the hardship. He died for the rich moments. He died for the health. He died for all things. But in the end, He's always telling you, be strong and courageous. Anything that you need in the moment, in the time, God is with you. He's surrounding you. And this is the moment of this channel. This is why we do what we do. It's because of the fact that I want to be a breath of fresh air. We can hear so many bad things. Well, what about hearing something that would encourage you to move to the next level? Many times people don't use what it is that we have, that everything is not doom and gloom. Right now, we're witnessing of a situation that happened in this time, this moment in time. We may not agree with everything that's being said, but no one deserves to have their life taken, right? But also, what did we do with the time that we've done? This young man did a lot of things now. Some things you agree with, some things you don't agree with. But he had made a mark in the earth realm. What is your mark going to be? What are you going to do? How are you going to take this to the next level? And so what I want to tell you now, today, we're talking about how we're going to the next level, how we're taking what we went through. Everyone was not born with a silver spoon in their mouth. They had to go through some things. They weren't always given everything. But they had to hear the voice of God to make these different transitions. Many times we're waiting for someone to give you something. I need you to say, I'm getting ready to help make my way with the direction, the leading, and the guidance of the Spirit of God. That's how I'm getting ready to do this. And sometimes you may be making these moves. And what you need to do is to pause, rethink, regroup, reset, recalibrate, and get ready for the recovery. Oh man, I talked about the recovery the other day. Oh my goodness. God is getting ready to send you some places where you're getting ready to do a recovery. And as we step into the new year of this, what we have is 5786, which is stepping into the new Hebraic year, right? And so we talk about 5 is what? It's grace. And then we talk about what is going to be that with 57. Now we're going into the 7, which is completion. 8 is new beginning. And 6 is for man. Hallelujah. It's about manifestation. So it's about some of the things that you've been working on, some of the things you've been thinking. It's time to move to another level. And so I'm so excited right now to have on the platform right now, Encourage Nation. I need y'all to help me welcome right now, Mr. Rodney Smith is in the house. Hey. he said, okay. All right, sir. How you doing, my man? How's it going?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Overcoming the sickness, man. I'm blessed.
Oh, hey, you blessed. Hey,
just to be here right now, man. Yeah, you felt like the way I felt this weekend.
Yeah.
You hear on this call now, yeah, you be feeling blessed too.
I had to double check with him. I said, my man, you good? How you feeling? All of those things. And I didn't just do that just because of this, because my brother was not feeling his best. And so again, and for the weekend, I was thinking about him and praying for him and believing God for complete restoration and healing. But God also knows how to reset and recalibrate your body when it's necessary. And he has a way to take us to a place that only he can do. And that's healing from the inside out. And so as we do that, come on, talk to me about where we are. Mr. Rodney Smith, let me just give you a little bit of a background. Ascendancy is his business. That's what he's doing right now. And I want him to talk to you about that. I want you to talk to you about how he is connecting two worlds together, how he is expanding, how he is marketing and helping people like myself take our business and our visions to a whole nother legacy, right? A legacy is what we're talking about. What are we going to leave after we ascend upward? What are we going to leave downward for the people to be able to follow? So talk to me about the Ascendancy Group, sir.
Man, it's a talent and sports marketing agency. You know, it started off really more on the sports side. Shout out to Jasmine Carson with LSU. She was actually one of my first clients.
Okay.
She was with the women's basketball team. She won a championship with Angel Reese and Flage
Okay.
and Caitlin Clark. She got a lot of notoriety from that game, and that kind of like is what elevated me, you know, to moving on to bigger and better things. I'm not going to really say better, but bigger things, you know.
Yeah.
We deal with all different forms of sports, whether it be boxing, whether it be the NFL, the NBA, golf. Man, if we can do bowling, we do bowling as well too. But we even work with the entrepreneurs with helping these guys scale. You know, we have a different service platform around that, around consulting. And then we also help content creators and influencers. You know, we do have comedians, we have entertainment guys, and we go out and source deals for them.
Yeah.
So our whole objective is to do anything outside of whatever their prospective sport, their profession, to go get the money, whether it be endorsements, whether it be business collaborations, whether it be, you know, products, movies.
Yeah.
And we do it all. We do it all.
Do it.
Yeah.
So what got you into that? I mean, how did you get into this level of feeling as though a vision I can help to bring it to fruition?
Man, I'll tell you one thing. It's something that I didn't even plan for. You know, like one of the things that I do realize, and, you know, and I'll try to make the quick version of this because it's not a quick story. I'm going to give you the quickest way as possible. One of the things that I notice is like a lot of times when we ourselves, we want things and we feel like our life wants to go in a different direction. You know, God has different motives and ideas for us. I plan to create a mobile application, be in the technology space, and God said, nope, we got something different for you.
Yeah.
I ended up starting a whiskey group for the corporate space that I was in at the time, just to go be able to resonate with some of the executives when we go have dinner, to be able to talk, you know, high spirits. And I started a whiskey group. That whiskey group was a neighborhood group to do tastings. Long story short, we ended up growing it to about 15,000 members international. We made partnerships with companies like Total Wine, Goody Goody Specs. And we start working with the entertainment guys to bring their products to Dallas. You know, we helped Wild Turkey, Long Branch, you know, collab with Matthew McConaughey and get the word out through Dallas. You know, we worked with Branson and 50 Cent with his products, Lil Wayne with Bamboo. And then that right there allowed me to start seeing the ability to work with the entertainment side. But me being in the corporate side selling technology, I had a lot of relationships. So I would try to broker the deals, you know, in between me getting these guys to know them to bring their products to Dallas and seeing if I can get something going. And one of the deals I was able to broker was something, you know, with Hublot. I can't really say the name just because he wasn't my client, but I helped a sports agency make this deal happen. And I knew the president of Hublot at the time. We did an event here. I got my brokerage fee, and I was like, I kind of like that, you know. So start dealing with athletes, you know, helping them get their brands off the ground. And the next thing you know, after start brokering these deals, I'm like, man, this is really lucrative. It's a lot more exciting than me being in the corporate space. So I decided to do that full time, and I've been doing it for 3 years now, full time, 5 years total.
Oh, wow. And so you're located where?
I'm in Dallas, Texas.
You're in Dallas, Texas. Were you born, bred there?
No, so I was actually born in Oklahoma City, but my father was military, so I traveled literally around the whole world.
Okay.
Mother and father's divorced.
Okay.
When I was 13, she moved to Atlanta. He moved to New York, went back and forth, moved back to Oklahoma City. in 2000 and moved to Dallas in 2015.
Okay, family. As far as you, where do you rank as children? Are you only child? What is that?
That's another crazy story.
Okay.
I'll give you the high level story. So, yeah, man. I am the oldest of. I had a younger brother. Well, I have a younger brother.
Okay.
Found out when I was 18 that my father, that I thought was my father, wasn't my father.
Oh wow.
And then that brought in, me to meet my biological father, which I had 6 sisters and 2 brothers. One of them was killed back in 2015, but that put me at the second oldest. And I have a sister who's older than me by 2 years. So I'm 41, she's 43.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now, you know, all the ladies are hearing all these connections. So married, not married, children. What do we got?
I'm actually going through a separation right now. We don't know
Okay.
if it's going to turn into divorce or whatnot.
Okay. Okay.
But it's actually good though, man. I'm in a good space. She's in a good space. And I don't doubt anything. Like the good thing about this is my faith in God has always been strong, and I'm using this as an opportunity to get to know myself, to be able to build my relationship back with God and just work on the things that I can control. So, I'm in a good space right now.
Yeah, and that's always a good thing. And one of the things that I've been through it. I've been through a separation, divorce as well, and I tell people that all the time. But God gave me a second time to come back around. So a second opportunity is what I want to say.
Yeah.
And by doing that, 28 years and 30 years together now has been an amazing. And to be able to see that you can love again, but you just got to be open to understanding what did I do in the process, not what did they do to help you to grow to be the new you that God has. And so many times we spend a lot of our time worrying about how to fix others instead of fixing us. Many times we don't like to say that.
Seriously, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And God has a way of separating you from opportunities that you don't need in those moments in order for you to realize there's another something here that I need to work on. You had a lot of different things, like I did when I went through it. I was really looking from a different perspective when I was in, but when I had a chance to look outward back to who I was then, I was able to see a lot of different things that I probably could have done differently, could have grown differently. But however, I use those moments to grow to new opportunities. And so when we start to look at those things, when we start talking about the man who becomes a little bit hurt, see, we're going to kind of go in and out. What would you say to that guy who's saying, man, you know what, she did this, it didn't do right. I'm trying to tell you, this girl, da-da-da. What would you tell him?
The first thing I always look to is, when God created man, right? He created man, he created Adam, and he created Eve. And he created woman as a helpmate, right?
Yeah.
So us being the men, you have God, you have man, you have woman and child.
Yeah.
We have to lead by example. And at the end of the day, we have to take responsibility sometimes for the actions that we have in our marriage. 9 times out of 10, if there's an issue in a marriage, it's probably because of us. We have little requirements that we want women to do. But at the end of the day, it's probably the reason why she's acting that way, right? Women are submissive creatures. And if we're doing everything right as a man, I've seen it firsthand for me, and when my wife first got together, it was rough. She was very disrespectful, but she transitioned me and introduced me to God, but she molded me to be the man that she wanted me to be. And once I became that man, I've seen all of those walls break down. I've seen, the security that she once didn't have and feeling secure with me also become more secure, the trust. And it's because I was doing everything that I needed to do as a man. And when I wasn't, I noticed that she acted a certain way. So I took initiative, took action, figured out how to lead, led my family through God, through prayer. And when the divorce didn't, or when the marriage didn't work the way I wanted it to work, I had to go back and look within myself and realize, what could I have done better? I'm not going to put the blame on her. But for those guys that are looking at my wife and this and that, well, take a step back and ask, why is she mad at first? Not because what you think, but let's see how we can insert ourselves in there and figure out how we can take responsibility, because it's our job as a man to lead. And if we're leading the right way, they will follow. And, That's just my opinion. Now, every situation is always going to be like that, but that's just from my perspective.
Yeah. Listen, we're not the professionals, so don't be DMing us and don't be trying to come for us in the comments. But what we're trying to tell you is that we want to enlighten. And I think you can enlighten from exactly where you have gone wrong. And I can share with you what I did or what I could have done that would have become even probably better. But also, it's about sharing with someone else. It's conversation. Sometimes we don't know until someone tells us. And we have to be open in hearing some of those things and making some of those adjustments. And I think it's very critical and important when we do open our ears. And this is why this platform is very important to me. It's about men becoming greater men, right? It's not that you're not good. Can we become greater? Can we become greater? Can we find some other opportunities here where we can share, where we can leave legacy into other people and show them? Why are we afraid? And this is for you. This is for you, right? Why are we afraid to share what we know? Why?
Are you asking me that question?
Yeah, question for Rodney. Why are we?
I just want to make sure.
Why are we afraid?
I think people are afraid of conflict, right? At times, I think for the majority, you're going to have people who aren't afraid, like myself, and then you're going to have some people who either A, don't have the knowledge to share, or B, it could be a form of jealousy and envy, and we don't want people to grow. But I think it could be a combination of all things. Me, myself personally, I'm not afraid to share anything. I'm a mentor. And I feel like I'm out here led by God, walking in my purpose, and I try to give as much detail as possible. I will say this, it may not be the popular person to talk about, but Kevin Gates was on an interview the other day, and they asked him something about politics, and he said he doesn't get into that. And the lady was like, well, why? Well, you can walk out the house and something could happen. He was like, listen here. I'm only working on myself and me. I'm the only thing that matters. My family's the only thing that matters. I don't get into other people's business. I don't get into the why. The only thing I can do is make a better me, so therefore I can inject love out into the world. Do things as Jesus Christ is. So for me, I really don't try to pay attention too much of why we don't. I try to be the change I want to see.
Okay.
And I do me. You know what I mean?
Be the change we want to see. Yeah. You hear that, right? Be the change you want to see. And when we start to look at those things and, you're touching so many people. And I know you have to run across some people that may think different of who you are as a person. He got a little chuckle there. He got to take a little swig. Okay. So how do you deal with the haters, sir? How do you deal with the ones who want to pull on your coattails? Let me just give you a little something, the Encourage Nation. I met him through the big Cam, right? The real Cam, and how he's out here. He's amazing, and he's going to be on this podcast one day. And so he connected me, and they have their business together that they're doing some different things as he works for him. Rodney there is. But one of the things that I'm saying to you is that how, by me getting to talk to him on the phone, he didn't know who I was. As they said, from a can of paint, is what they always say. But however, we've had several conversations since that particular connection day, and it feels as though it was a destiny opportunity that I was excited to talk with him. I was thankful that he wanted to even talk to me. So he has never given me any of those things like I'm a hoard it type person, but that I want to share. So when I'm saying that, it's a heart thing. So now I want to say to you, and I bring that question about, is your heart? How do you deal with being in the industry and protecting and keeping yourself covered?
At the end of the day, I kind of always remember what I do it for and who I do it for and what I'm trying to be. This is a piece of paper here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it has goals, 10 goals, and I keep it at my desk. I read it every morning. I read it every night and at lunch every day. I speak them into existence. So when I see the things like God will be number one, and it's not anything it's crazy. It's like God will be number one in my life. I will be the best father to my kids. I write things down professionally and also personally. So therefore, throughout the day, I'm remembering the things that I say that I want to be, because we know that we're all humans. Things can get us upset. winds can hit us at our highs, lows can take us off frequency. But for me, if I'm speaking these things into existence every day, and I know that God will be number one in my life, I try to react in the way that Jesus would in every situation. So I try to come with love. I try to be able to plant. I try to be able to provide as much insight. And when you don't take that the way that I'm giving off, then we have to take a step back. With me, I try to eliminate any type of drama, mitigate any type of conflict. And if you're a person that can't understand that, don't get it, I know how to respectfully bow out and walk away. I don't have to, when you said, hey, don't be in our DMs talking, please be in my DMs, because if you're talking reckless, I will just ignore it. I will move on. You know what I mean? Like, we can either have a good conversation or we don't. So I don't interject with negative energy at all.
Yeah. And see, they're teaching me. I'm new to the arena, y'all. I'm like, listen, please stop talking bad. Talk right. I mean, if I can't help you, I ain't trying to hurt you. Love me, please. I don't know you like that. But those are the things that I also say again. And one of the things I say, Rodney, that I believe that when people have that type of energy, there's somewhere on the inside that you're unhealed. And I believe that a lot of times we can flow in unhealed things and think that we are healed. That's like people who lie, right? And they just keep lying. And I believe that if you lie to me, you cheat, and then you will steal from me, because you rob me of the opportunity to be able to tell you what I feel or how I feel. And you shouldn't do that, right? You should give me that opportunity to make those decisions based on how I want to internalize or not internalize those things. And so I believe that it's so important for us to be as honest as we can with one another. We don't always have to agree. Say it with me. We don't always have to agree, but we should respect one another. That's a must. And then we come out, what covers everything? Love. What did he ask us to do? What did he command us to do? And that's to love. Love one another. Love, lover, love. And so as we go here, rapid fire, we're going to change gears just a little bit. And rapid fires are the things that I can ask him questions. He may know them. And most of the time we send him questions, and it's not going to always be the question. And so one of the things I want to tell you, if somebody wanted to know something about you that they don't know, but that you can share, what would that be about you? One thing people don't know about you. You like to knit. You like to make shoes. What is it?
I like to read and research. A lot of people see, me out, and it's everything is strategy, right? What you see on my social media is what I allow you to see. I allow you to see the work that I do, the FOMO, the access that I have. And people think that that's my life 24/7. Like, oh my God, you're everywhere. You do this, you get to hang. I'm like, nah, that's a very small fraction of it. Yeah. I love to read and educate myself. I am a huge nerd because I didn't grow up with that type of knowledge. I didn't graduate high school. I didn't go to college. I ran around in the streets. I did a lot of stuff, man. And then I transitioned and changed my life around. So for the most part that most people don't know, I am a homebody that loves to enable myself. Love learning.
What are you most known for?
It depends on who you ask. I mean, for right now, I'm probably the guy that works with all of the athletes, probably.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You told me about a situation with the buckets. What was that like about getting that ball signed or a jersey signed? I think that the other week at the last game at WNBA, right?
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, like, I don't have the same excitement as I used to when I got my first jersey signed, right? There's qualifications now that I have when I take on clients. Like, yo, I need a jersey because I have jersey walls all through here, man.
Yeah.
And it's a symbol of me, doing something and representing these players. I like to look at the stuff I have, I think it was exciting, like, I'm not going to lie. Everybody likes attention. You know what I mean? And to be on the floor, having her sign a jersey, everybody looking at your cameras and stuff, bro, it's a good feeling that, like, man, like I'm doing some stuff, man, so I feel pretty good.
And then he sent me some pictures, y'all. He said, look here it is right here. You don't believe me? Here it is. I was like, all right, I see.
Look what you're missing out on, man.
Come on. You in Dallas? Come on. I'm like, no, I'm in Richmond. But that's one of the good things where you get to live vicariously through someone and see what they're doing. And that's a good thing. He's being a life, being able to be on side courts and things of that nature and going in. And he and I connected on that as well. He said, man, you'll be able to help me with some grounding studying things about spirituality as I continue to grow. And I thought that was really big when he said that, because he had to accept me for who I am, right? It's that this is who I am. I'm a pastor. I'm sold out for God. And I told him, I said, we gonna do some things, but there's some things I can't do, right? And we have to understand what your limitations are, but that don't mean that I'm less or that I can't be friends with him. We can't be brothers. No. If I respect you, I'm going to respect your hustle. I'm going to respect what you do. And I'm not going to put you in a situation that's going to compromise who you are. That's not what it's all about. And we can't surround ourselves with people who want you to compromise. They want you to be the best version that you are, and they don't want to pimp your gift. I never want to be seen as a leech or a pimp. What you think about those things?
I'm a big energy person.
Yeah.
Like one of the God-given talents that I think that he's instilled in us was discernment, right? And discernment is really nothing more than energy. Being able to see it, understand it, measure it, and be able to tell the one's intentions, up front. Like we've had a conversation up front, in regards to some stuff that we were doing from a business standpoint.
Right.
And, I'm like, hey, you don't know me. And you were like, hey, man, I'm moved by God. At the end of the day, if you decide to do me right or do me wrong, at the end of the day, I'm moving on what God says. I feel something that's different within you. And that's the way I look at most situations, right? How is our friendship? How is our relationship? How do you approach me? What are conversations and stuff like? So if I feel like the energy is off, if I feel like something's not genuine, the same way that I take myself out of a negative conversation, the same way I root myself from that individual. And I don't do it with any type of hate. I want to say this before I kind of move on, because like this really shaped my whole life. So one of my really good friends, Timothy Defabal, I got to give a shout out to that guy right there, man. He came to my house when maybe 16, 17 years ago, and he was trying to sell me some insurance. And he ended up being one of my really good friends. We actually sat down that night. Instead of talking about insurance, we talked about God for a whole hour, 2 hours. And we started a Monday night men's Bible study group that led on for 5 years before I moved to Oklahoma. And me, I was still, like kind of transition into God, like understanding the differences between who is Moses and Jesus. Like I didn't know anything. And it was a situation, like at that point, like my temper is really short when it comes to adults at that time, right? So I remember riding with him, and we were going to the tire store at Walmart, changed his tires. We drove, I promise you, not even a half a mile. That tire went flat. I got mad for him because it was hot outside. So we had to go back up there. I had to change the tire for one. I'm sweaty. I'm mad as heck. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, they going to have to give you something. Like, something. And how he went in there and he was like, hey, how's it going? I speak to the manager.
Wow.
And, he was super calm. And like I said, he's also a pastor as well, too. And he went in there and he just approached the situation with like kindness and got exactly what he wanted plus more. And I'm like, dang, you ain't have to yell at nobody and tell them what you gonna do. Like I saw somebody get the things that they want with just spreading love and just being extremely positive. And I'm like, wow, that really works. So I always decided that, from that day forward, I'm going to try to be more like that. And that's what I try to do, So when I get around people who are leeches and stuff, man, depending on what, the discussion can lead to, I either still find ways to help or I remove myself from the situation. I don't let that get, boggle me down.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. So when we started talking about things like, and again, you said starting the Bible study, you had a conversation, you and him came up with this thing, and again, he started walking with you, supporting you in your ability to want to grow into Christ, and you saw some things change within yourself. When you started talking, you mentioned mentoring. What does mentoring mean to you?
Exactly what we talked about maybe 5 minutes ago. Like, why do we not share? Sharing, right? When we look at our community is Black folks, like we're dead last on the totem pole when it comes to wealth, when it comes to home ownership. Like we've been living in this country the longest, but we're very dead last when it comes to everything else. We're extremely materialistic. We buy into a lot of propaganda. We don't know how to save. Financially, we're not smart. We're lying, and then we don't stick together as a unit. You have Mexicans that don't even have visas coming in here saving money, taking advantage of the American way because they know how to come together as a people, as a unit, and grow. So for me, we don't have a lot of positive influences in really rough areas. You know, like I grew up in some tough areas. So for me, mentor means giving back as much knowledge as that I possibly can about how to get yourself out of the situation the same way that I did, and then also planting seeds on God. It's not always planted. The God is not always the starter. Sometimes for me, it's more of like being able to resonate with them to show them that I understand. I come from the same place that you do. Some people don't even know that I believe in God or follow Christ or anything. But once they have a situation where they know that I'm not judging and they see that I'm not just providing advice and stuff to them without them asking, and when they come to me, that's like the perfect opportunity. It was like, man, what's your relationship with God? And to me, that's one way to start the mentorship, with instilling the word of God and telling what it did for my life. But for me, mentorship is just also helping, man. You know, we're all busy. We all have things that we have to do. But what are we doing to teach one, right? Are we taking time out of our days to instill folks that really, really want to get to the next level but don't know how because they don't have the resources? And we can be those type of resources for them.
Wow, that's good. If you had to speak to the younger you now, the 21-year-old, knowing what you know now, what would you tell that person or that guy at that time?
That's tough. Because there's a lot of stuff I'd say, but the one thing I would say is to just be yourself. Be yourself. And
Be yourself.
I think for me, I did things for the wrong reasons. You know, I wanted the attention for others. But the moment I really realized that, you know, no one's going to hold me down the way I'm going to hold me down, it allowed me to focus on the things that I really wanted. You know, like I think that we buy into so much of the social media, the capitalism, the propaganda and stuff that goes on that it sometimes gets us away from the end goal, which is, you know, for one, you know, living for God, but then also going out there moving at your own pace. You know, people get depressed, filled with anxiety, you know, blow their brains out because they out here not trying to be them. They try to live somebody else's life. So for me, if my younger self, and because I know who I am, I've always been determined. I've always been somebody who was super motivated. So I don't need to instill that in me. It would have just been me telling my young self to just be myself, and whoever likes you, great. Whoever don't. You can't help what people think about you. So you might as well just do it regardless of what the opinions are.
Yeah, I get that because, you know, many a times that I had to learn that, and I'm still learning on some of those levels about people accepting you, liking you, different things of that nature, because I don't live my life determining who I'm going to dislike today. That's the furthest thing away. Who I want to put in the forefront of my mind is like, how can I treat you wrong or be disloyal to you? And can we make mistakes and can we do things improperly? Absolutely. But that's not intentional, right? And so forgiving people, others, and forgiving yourself is so important in mentoring as well, as that we teach people how to be this and be that, but sometimes we don't teach them how to forgive yourself for some of the things you may have done, some of the things you may have gotten into. You've got to release yourself in order to be able to go to the next level. And sometimes we're chasing the next. We're chasing the this. We're chasing the that in order to be able to make us feel better or to feel like we are feeling better. But then a lot of times once you obtain that, you still don't feel good. You're still empty. Yeah. You're still looking for outward things to fill internal things that should be filled with Christ, should be filled with self-worth, also should be filled with how it is that we have been infilling ourselves with. You know, what people, what things. And when I say things, meaning we can be in the wrong place under the wrong things at the wrong time, because you can be at the NBA games, the NFL games, and say, I want to be that, I want to be that. But then you can leave there feeling depressed as well.
Man, Bishop T.D. Jakes has a sermon on it. It's not about you, and it was never about you. And you know, he talked about this. I can't remember, it was the men's conference he did with Dr. Miles Monroe. You know, Creflo Dollar right now doesn't have a really good name to him, but you know, he was there. But you know, he talked about, you know, just the originality of like just human beings. We've come so far that we think money, we think cars, we think houses, jobs is the thing that is what we strive for. But sometimes we got to take a step back and realize, like, why were we created? What's the end goal? If you say that you are a believer in God and you're a follower of Christ, the object is to make it to heaven. And the way you make it to heaven is by being an ambassador for the word. And you live your life through God, not through your job and through what you're trying to achieve. It's through God. And if we can kind of sometimes take a step back and realize, like, how do we be the best steward? You'll realize, man, all of those materialistic things that you think that you want, it's not bad to have it. Don't get it twisted, because I got a lot of materialistic things too, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day,
Me too.
It's not my prime focus. It's not my prime focus, man.
Absolutely.
I think God rewards as we are good stewards, but we have to sometimes just stay in our own lane, It's good to take social media breaks, not keep up with what everyone else is doing, but just have goals. What is it that you want to do out of your life? And then move at your own pace, man.
What does,
you gotta keep that first.
Now listen to it. So we were talking about that movie. What does success look like?
Success is going to be different for everybody. I think like we talked about, what's your goals in life? What is it that you want to achieve? For me, I wanted to make it out of the hood and have a family. That was success for me. And then I got 25 and I'm like, okay, success looks a little different for me now. And for me, I think if I can inspire the people that see me now to want to go out and go do, start up a business for themselves, or to see me as is the person I am now and not have a clue of who I used to be. And then, knowing that the people that knew me growing up can't even imagine, like, man, Rodney's doing that. Like, what? That lets me know I'm doing everything I needed to do. When you can't picture me doing what I was back in the day, and the people back in the day now can't believe what I'm doing now, I've done a 180. That's 100% success to me.
Wow, you said 180. Yeah, right. I like that. So, did you go to college for what you're doing?
No,
No.
I did not. I tried to go to college. I ended up catching a dope case 2 months in, and had to leave college. So that's kind of like in my transition of like being introduced to God. But no, I didn't go to school, man. And I laughed earlier about something, and we talked about, he said, oh, he has a chuckle. We talked about a debate, in a certain situation. But one of the things that debate was, kind of like it started with the same thing that you opened up with Charlie Kirk, right? I'm guessing, I'm going to be saying his name, but I'm guessing that's who we were talking about.
Yeah.
And, I asked a specific question in regards to, like, what are your thoughts to a specific individual? And, I was like, do you think he was racist, et cetera? And I'm going to the question that you asked. And they were like, I do. And I'm like, well, what about a lot of the things that I can show you right now that maybe says that he wasn't racist? I think maybe he had some things that he said that we didn't like as black people, that we might have felt was racist. But he talked the same way about, like, that white people, the Indian people. It wasn't just us. But we pick ourselves out of specific situations and say, oh, he talked about us and that. Like, he got to be racist. I mean, he could. There are some things that he said, but I didn't feel like he was. But long story short, we start talking about black people. And I'm like, you know what? I'm doing all of this stuff. I'm nobody special. I don't have a high school diploma. I don't have a college degree. I don't have anything. And I'm making more money with the average person than the doctors or masters. Why? Because I decided to focus on what I can do, and I did it. I didn't complain about a 40 acres and a mule, about me not getting any reparations, about me not getting a handout. I just did. So for me, when I look at a situation like where I am now, anybody can do this. You don't have to have any, go do it. Ask and it shall be given. But you just got to make sure you do the work. Faith without works is dead. So, no, I don't. I just did.
Wow. So you mentioned a time in your life where you say, hey, I had a charge. Do you talk about those moments to your mentors or to public, or is that something that you still don't have many conversations about?
I always go into it. I don't hide or shy away from my past because it made me who I am today. When I talk to specific people, they're like, oh my God, you did what? Like, yeah. You can't believe it, do you? Yeah. Like, I have a story, you know what I mean? And I share it as much as I possibly can.
Wow. Okay. So with us, give us a snippet of, what that, I like my audience to understand the other side of people. They see the success, they see where we are, and he's with NFL players. He's living in Dallas. He's got all the plaques. But it took some time building maturing, and all of that. But everybody's step is not always the same. But it's what we do with the step that we've been given is the difference. So when this charge came, this opportunity that now the government has to make some decision about what it is that I did, knowing I could choose life or death, right? Knowing that I could choose right or wrong. And I decided to do some things and I gambled. And so, hey, I had to pay the price for what I gambled on. What did that look like for you at that time?
God was on my side, man. He got me out of that, by a long deferred probation period. And I know what they were looking to do because it was one of my first offenses that I actually got caught with. The judge was extremely lenient. Plus, I was going to college, so that kind of like lightweight saved me, like, hey, continue on with your education. And while going through this process of going to court and stuff, I've always had the gift of gab, and I've always been a hustler, but I've always had forward thinking, right? I look at situations, take them for what they are, and I figure out how to create success in everything. So when going through this situation, I'm like, if I probably show some effort through this process before I get sentenced, I could probably, come out on, better on this one. So I did, start looking for a job. I had a gold grill, I had braids, I had all that. I took out my, golds, cut my hair, and I ended up going to a job fair and meeting this guy. He was the director of sales at Dell. I'm 20 at the time, and he was like, dude, I like the way you talk, man. Like, I like the way you move. He was like, that swagger dude, like, I want you to come work for me. And I kept it all the way a buck with him. I was like, I'm going through this, this is, I don't have no degree. He was like, I don't care. He was like, I make the decisions. He said, I want you to come work for me. And I had a compelling story when I went back to court. And she said, well, all right, well, we'll see how long you can stay out of trouble. I'm going to give you the opportunity. I had letters and stuff that, the folks wrote for me. At that time, like I had a pastor reach out. And I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of playing the system a little bit. But at the end of the day, it got me out, and I took the opportunity to become better.
Wow. So the final sentence was not necessarily the final sentence, even though you know what it could have been. But there were some turnaround moments that happened for you as a person to say, these are the things I need to do. Even though I thought I was playing the system, God was still aligning you to do things different, because now, today, I'm not locked up. Now, today, I'm not having to contend with those things, even though that's my past, but I'm doing things differently. But he's always had a creative spirit about you, as well as an entrepreneur. And now you're doing that, no matter what. So you're saying, yeah, I didn't finish. I didn't get the degree. College wasn't for me. I didn't do things traditionally. But however, yeah, I am still a black man doing some great things now in the earth realm. And my foundation is God, May not be perfect, but I still know I can't do this on my own. Correct?
Absolutely.
Correct?
Absolutely.
And so, absolutely. And the word resilience is something I say. What would you say to the word resilience?
You got to have it. Mm-hmm. Resilience, grit, determination, consistency, like those are all synonym type words that I would even throw in there, man. I look at the differences between people who are successful, and, for me, I wouldn't even say for me, when we look at what the America's version or the westernized form of success, it's always monetary, right? The things that you can achieve by buying the things that you want. When I look at it from that perspective, because that's probably what 60 to 70% of Americans want, is that success and that monetary freedom. The differences between the people that are successful versus the ones that don't, they have resilience and they're not afraid to go do something when they know they could potentially fail. They're not afraid to fail. And I think the reason why most people can't achieve success is because they have hope. That hope gives you just a little bit of reason to procrastinate. You know what? I won't start tomorrow. I won't start today. I'll start in 2 weeks, because if I know that I could potentially do it, I'll still stay motivated, but they keep falling so far behind. So you got to be resilient, man. You got to just, like Nike has the best quote I've ever seen in my life. It's just so simple. Just do it.
Just do it.
And take note of what you do. If you're failing, switch things up.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to change, but like you got to be consistent on the path.
Wow. And so as we look at this, and as we start to wrap up some of the things that I'm thinking, I mean, we've been able to go through so many different questions I've had, and I'm like, okay, that led to that. That was good. What do you want the Ascendancy Group to be known for?
I want us to be known for people, for helping people. It's not always just about the transactions. I'll give you a prime example. We're not, you've had an encounter with people who only wanted to leverage you for your money. I'm a extremely busy individual, and as many others are as well too. And I still always try to find time to give back. I want people to know that when you come approach me, we can have genuine conversations. It's not always about money, but just don't waste my time. I don't like my time wasted. Like let's have a genuine conversation, and if you want to get help, I can give it. I don't have to charge you $1 for it. You know what I mean? So like when they see the Ascendancy Group, I want them to know that I am somebody who's genuine and somebody that also is making top dollar for our athletes. But at the end of the day, genuine organization, man. That's been touched by God. That we were out to take over the sports world, man.
So when you're looking for employees, what are you looking for?
Resilience. I'm looking for a killer mentality. You know what I mean? I need somebody who's forward thinking, who's self-efficient. We all don't have that. That really is a gift to be able to get up every single day and go do. I think we live in a world, where it's instant gratification.
Mm-hmm.
People are getting a whole lot lazier. They don't want to put in the work to go achieve success. They're like, if we can't get a sale, like when I pick up the phone and reach out, I give up, or I'm going to go, take some time and breaks. Like, just be resilient, have grit, just go do. And I know how to find that. So,
Right. So I'm gonna ask you one easier question. What is your favorite football team?
How about them boys?
About them boys.
How about them Cowboys?
Okay, how about them Cowboys? Okay. You told me about opportunity, so now you say, how about them boys? Jerry Jones. How about Jerry Jones? You can't have a podcast and mention Cowboys and not talk about Jerry Jones. How's Jerry Jones?
I have a different level of respect for Jerry Jones after I watched that documentary, The Americans Team.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about, Dallas Cowboys. It's about how that man got rich. Like a lot of us, there's so many different things that Jerry has been through in his life, man. And even the same thing that happened with Charlie Kirk, like, oh, he was a racist. There was a picture that came up, from when he was 14, being outside of whatever it was, of a black girl walking into a school and white folks, throwing stuff at her. And, they automatically associated Jerry Jones with being racist. And I'm like, that was a long time from the time that he was maybe 12 to 14 years old in that picture. People grow, people get better, people learn, people change. I'm not the same person I was when I was 8, when I was 15, 21. I am completely different. And I think Jerry gives a lot of people that look like us the opportunity. There ain't no other NFL team owner in the NFL that's invested into us than Jerry has. And he believes us. At the end of the day, a lot of people look at him and like, that's success. I see a good-hearted individual. He just don't take no crap. He is a country boy, man, or whatever you want to call him, that has a moral foundation, and he ain't going to let you play with him. He wasn't letting Michael Parsons play with him. Love or hate it, I'm still sick to the day of that trade going down. But he did what was best for the team. And he's a person that's going to go out and go take care of his family by all means. Regardless if he's winning or not, I'm an entrepreneur. So at the end of the day, I don't care about, the limelight or getting the clout. I want the money. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to be posted on social media with all the deals. Like, give me the money and I'll be happy. And that's the way Jerry is. Like, of course, you get into football to win. But at the end of the day, he has the most expensive and most profitable franchise across all sports. And he bought that team when it was the worst team in sports. Think about that.
Yeah. I think I just looked at something stats probably about a month ago to say he was in the top 5. They were number 1 as far as most profitable NFL teams, and they had the whole ranking in there, which was amazing.
He's number 1 across all sports,
right?
Soccer, baseball,
Wow.
Okay. All of it. $13 billion is the word, and it probably went up to $19 billion. I think the most profitable, valuable sports franchise across all sports.
Here we go. See, and that again, you can't refute results. And Bishop Robinson, my covering, always says that. He said, name of the game is called results. You know, you got to have that. That's the fruit of your labor also is another part of that as well. You know, we are supposed to produce. We are supposed to have multiple things happening. And so, you know, for him, I have so much respect for him and what he's done. Yes, we may not always agree, but when we say one thing is he's a businessman and he's a marketing genius. That's all you can say. And that he has taken little and made much with it. And so when we look at those things, if someone said right now, who is the best person that you think you've met that you didn't know in the arena? I'm not trying to get you in trouble, but you said that I met and they wasn't what everybody thought they were. And they kind of like a close friend.
Ooh.
You probably got about 20, but you can give me 20 if you can't get one.
Yeah, because I can get I can get trouble for that one. Oh,
Derwin Hickman is one.
For one, all of my clients are great. You know what I mean? Like all of them.
Don't try to give me that whole long answer.
But if I'm gonna go away from clients because I have quite a few that I think are the best that you. But let me go away from non-clients. Let's say that.
Okay.
I would probably say Gervonta Davis. He gets a really, really, really bad rep, man, because of some of the things that he's done in the public, and which, trust me, like he has to be held accountable. But like when you get to like really sit down and know that young man, he's pure. His heart is good. Like he doesn't really do a lot, but when he does do something, he always gets in trouble, man. I think he's very just misunderstood, and he needs mentorship. But as far as like one of the kindest people, the one that's gonna talk to you, do every interview, sign what you want him to sign, have patience, and be there until like everybody's gone. And like I said, non-clients. So if this gets out and my clients are listening, listen, I ain't listening. I could have said y'all, I'm going non-clients. All right. So Gervonta Davis, man, he wasn't what I expected. I saw him. I was like, that guy's actually a really good dude. He just has temptations and, things that we all go through, and he just needs to work on his patience.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's a good, that's a good political answer. I love that. They keep out of trouble. But when we started to talk about it again, as I said, we're coming to the place where I've had him hostage for almost an hour here. But when we started to say about faith, how important has your faith been over this whole journey? I know you mentioned about, the situation that you had and going through that, and now how important, and I know you had number one, God is there. So how important has that been?
I was actually trying to read how many times that I had something faith based in my goals. It wouldn't be possible, or I wouldn't be possible to be doing what I'm doing without it. I think there are two routes, right? Like we look at the guys that are in the music industry, there's a movie that just came out called Him, right? And it's about a football player that sold his soul to get all of the things that he wants. And we see a lot of these people in the entertainment space driving the Lamborghinis, doing their thing, and we got to realize, just like out of the book of Job, God allowed Satan to tempt, a great man of God. And when, he still kept his faith, he was rewarded with the same things that were taken away from him. But at the end of the day, like he had to go through temptation. And I think sometimes we forget that the devil also, or Satan, has dominion over this earth, and he can also tempt as well. So everything that happens isn't always from God. I think that there are things that come from God and things that don't. But for me, like it's the things that I have that I know that came from God that allows me to be pure, that allows me to be content, and not want more, and like be thankful for what I have. So without God, like I wouldn't have been able to do half of the stuff, because it's all about knowing that He has me and not worrying.
Wow. That right there is something that we have to feel on the inside when we say, no matter the attention, no matter the people we're circling around, no matter how much we're collecting in our bank account, if you don't have a foundation with God, then it's all for naught. And we should be trying to show people the love of Christ in order for us to move through, in order for us to leave legacy. And as we start talking about mentoring, and we start talking about what are we going to do as a mentor, how are we going to leave a legacy, and Ascendancy Group is in great hands. I'm telling you, to be able to work with such a young man like Mr. Rodney Smith and how he's doing it in Dallas, Texas, has been amazing. Over the couple of months now, I think it's probably about 30 days possibly that he and I met, and he has been phenomenal in all things that he has been doing, and how he has been showing me exactly what I need to do in the arena of social media and how we're moving forward. So again, Encourage Nation, listen, I need you to like, share, subscribe. I need you to follow the Ascendancy Group, Rodney Smith on IG. I need you to support the things. If you want the experience also about being able to rock with an NFL team and all of those kind of things, he also has packages where he'll talk to you about that. I'm going to be experiencing the VIP experience, which will be happening in November. I'm going actually to the Dallas Cowboys game for Thanksgiving. I told my wife and I we were going, and the kids just got to join along. If they want to come, they're going to have to do their thing. But this is an opportunity where I said, hey, this is something I want to do. I work hard, I preach hard, I live hard, I take care of people. Now is the time to do some things that I want to do. It's time now to do some things that I want to do that's not hurting anyone, but it's okay to enjoy life. As Christians, we must understand it's okay to enjoy life. We don't worship things, but we have an opportunity where God said, it's your desire. You can bank all the money you want, but guess what? It's going to the next generation, to the next generation. We're leaving legacy. Absolutely. You shouldn't spend more money on your back than you do on your bank account. I am a real proponent of that. But don't judge those who decide that that's what they want. If you want to drive a Pinto, drive your Pinto. But if somebody else wants to drive a Cadillac, let them drive their Cadillac. You have nothing to do with that. They want to live in a mansion, let them live in a mansion. You want to live in an apartment, live in an apartment. It's your choice. We have choices now. We need to make sure that we understand what it means to have a choice. We should never have our voice snatched away from us and our choice taken away from us. People died for that. Be that black, white, Asian, whatever. Someone died for you to continue to live. Someone did that, right? And someone you are standing on the shoulders of. And so always remember those things, that we do not have the right to take the opinion of others. We can agree to disagree. This platform is about agreeing to disagree. But don't dislike me because of what it is that I wear or what it is that I believe. If you're not a Christian, I still believe that you could be welcome to this platform. And I think when we have those kind of platforms, we still can do it. But let's not berate one another. It's no need to do that. Let's not talk about each other, beguile each other, things of that nature. Let's try to uplift. There's something good about everyone. I don't care who you are. There's something good about you. And I come to tell you today that, listen, I love you and ain't nothing else you can do about that. I believe that you're amazing and there's nothing else that you can do about that. And as I have Rodney here with me again, and as I have been able to speak with him and go through this whole process and getting to know who he is, he's an amazing guy. He's an amazing person that I want on my team. And I told him, you ain't getting rid of me. I'm going to be like a tick on the door. I'm going to be stuck to you unless something burn us apart or something like that. But I don't believe that that's going to happen. I believe that growth has to come.
You know, the same way Satan has demons that work in rage and promiscuity and lust and all of these different things. like God has soldiers for all of this stuff too. Maybe in the fashion space, it's a whole bunch of demons walking around here that need the word of God, right?
Come
you know
on,
what I mean? And like,
there it is.
and maybe that might be you to be able to go save that. You know, when you look at you like, man, who is that guy? You know what I mean? And you look like you're somebody, and I want to be the one to help take you to that next level so we can all be out here doing God's work. So like, here was today. 9/22/25 at 2:10 p.m. Central Standard Time. I said it first.
You said it.
Be on the lookout. You gonna be the next up.
You're gonna
leave
be
it at that.
Hey man, you know what I say? They so funny. I mean, and I tell this generation, I love them because they are really giving me some fuel to kind of keep rolling on. And when I'm saying maybe I'm too old because I'm 2 years, a year and a half from 60, but I believe that God is useful, and that's why I'm gonna keep pushing. And I appreciate all this. I appreciate the time, and I just believe that I'm called to be a light outside of the walls, inside of the walls, wherever I go. You're going to see that light. It is what it is. We're going to have conversation, and I have never met a stranger. And so listen here, Rodney, I just want to say thank you so much for the Ascendancy Group. Where can they find you? Please tell them, website, all of that for the VIP experience.
You can follow me on Instagram at _Rodney_Smith. That's my personal page. You can follow the Ascendancy Group at _Ascendancy_group. But I'm pretty sure that, I don't know if your podcast put little things on the screen or have links and stuff, but you'll be able to find it.
We're going to run it up. We're going to make sure we do that and make sure that all those things, because I know it's not just me here in Richmond or in the DMV, we like to say New York, wherever, but that someone is going to hear to say, hey, I want to also participate, but he will take you from when you hit the ground to the experience. He will food with you as far as transportation, hotel, things of that nature you need. He's able to connect you to all of those things. And I was really, really blown away by he and his team and the presentation and just the care and what you want, what you don't want, not pushy, all of that videoing and everything that I'm excited about what's going to be happening when I hit Dallas for the game, all of that. So my wife and I, we are expecting a great time, and especially to get a chance to meet him in person. So I want to say again, thank you so much for all that you're doing, and keep doing your thing. I'm proud of you. I'm appreciative of you, and you in my life. I'm in your life. We're going to keep going. They're going to see us on the side court. They're going to see us behind court. They're going to see us as we journey on, because we're going to send up higher, because that's what we've been called to do. So again, Encourage Nation, I want to thank you for all that you do to keep pushing me forward. I want to thank you for joining me on this third season. I want to thank you for allowing me into your life. I want to thank you for having me as a part of your journey. I come to tell you, I'm going to keep loving you. I'm going to keep pushing you. I'm going to keep encouraging you. I'm just going to be here. What is that? I'm that doctor. I'm that counselor. I'm the pastor. I am with you. Just make sure, Joshua 1:9, be strong and courageous. I love you. All right. See you on the next series. Bam. We out of here.